No, he didn't. He didn't even do that great in the Super Bowl. I don't think. None of the offensive lineman guys, they didn't really do that great.
See, that's the point. If you don't think they did great, it means what do you think they got away with?
I guess holding.
I ain't in the mood, I ain't hit the groove, I ain't hit the move, I ain't hit the snooze, I ain't hit
He left.
I could restart the recording, but honestly, at this point, I think we're just gonna go for it. Just
Gonna go, yeah.
as long as he joins within the next couple minutes. All right, well, what a start that was. Welcome everybody back to a Win is a Win podcast. This is episode 50. Sam is back. All right, Sam, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. Take the intro away. You're muted.
Sam's having issues with his computer all day tonight.
Oh, yeah, my bad, guys.
All right, go for it.
Whenever Charles had the recording button started, I accidentally clicked on leave recording instead of okay. But anyway, it's an exciting way to start the podcast. It's fitting for the celebration too, because this is finally episode 50 of a Win is a Win podcast. I feel like it's been ages since we've gotten the last few podcast episodes out, but we're finally at number 50. We reached that milestone, and I'm very happy to have gotten that episode done with you guys. I know you boys are pretty happy about it too. But before we jump into it today, because I know we're in a little bit of a time crunch, do you guys have any thoughts?
Well, I feel like Sam is maybe still feeling the effects of partying a certain championship that happened, and he's been going out all week, and I feel like maybe he's still just not quite 100% from everything he's done this week, and that's why he's been having the issues that he's had, but it's all good. I understand. So, yeah.
That might be the case.
Might
Maybe.
be, yeah.
Maybe.
We can't disclose exactly what you might have been doing, but
Well, I'm not disclosing. Well, I
I'm
mean,
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I definitely didn't go out and party as much as I did for the first and second Super Bowl, though. This was a little bit more low key. To be honest, to be totally honest, the Chiefs made it a lot closer of a game than I thought it would be. But hey, I mean, it's turned out the way I wanted it to, so I'm happy.
Is Matt just gonna be silent over there? He hasn't like said a word all day.
I'm just waiting for everyone to be done talking.
Where's the energy at? Come on, Sam. Where's the energy?
You want more energy from me? Well, to preface this whole podcast episode, you're repeating world champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. We won our third Super Bowl, 3 in the Pat Mahomes era. He is, I won't say he's the GOAT, but he's on his way up there, and I am extremely happy for that. I was very happy to see that happen. Watching the game live, I would have been a little bit more rowdy at the time, but I had to go to work in the morning, and we went to overtime, so it didn't leave a lot of time for it. But I'm still excited. My Chiefs, baby. We did it with number 15, Patty Mahomes. He is one of the best. I'm not saying he is the best, but he's one of the best. And he just proved it.
I was gonna say, well, you remember last year's Super Bowl, the run was helped a lot by Chad Henne, so it was more Patrick Mahomes and Chad Henne, but this year it was Patrick Mahomes himself. So I'll give you props for that.
Chad Henne, he did amazing for us last season. I'm sure he would have had like a pretty big role in the postseason this year, but he retired, so it really only left Mahomes to step up.
That's actually real funny. I just want to mention this as well. The only active quarterbacks with multiple Super Bowl rings are Patrick Mahomes, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Blaine Gabbert.
Mm-hmm.
So no one else has more than one at quarterbacks.
Yeah,
is super funny to me.
That's pretty ridiculous. Like the chokehold we have on the AFC right now, because the only reason Blaine Gabbert has multiple rings is because the Chiefs this year, because he's our backup,
and then the Bucks won too.
And
so.
yeah, the Bucks too. Yeah,
yeah, he's won 2 rings in the last through 4 years technically.
4
So
years.
that's
So,
pretty good.
thanks
Yeah.
to 2 votes.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl 58. We're going to discuss what happened, what could have happened. There was I think a lot of stuff to talk about. And Matt is going to also bless us or gift us with a song at the end of this podcast that he has to sing because he made a little bet with Sam last episode that if the 49ers lost, that he would do this, and they did. So he's holding up to his word. And so you have that to look forward to as well. But yeah, does anyone have anything they want to start with from the game? Anyone have a talking point they'd like to open us up with?
Sure. I would love to talk about something from the game, Charles.
Okay. Well, then let's go right into it.
Go for it.
All right. I think it's something that Charles and I have talked about extensively, but with the new overtime rules, because I think everyone knows they went into overtime. Here's the thing. I guess there's 2 things I'd like to talk about. First is it was the 4th quarter, 2 minutes left, 3rd and 4, I believe at the Chiefs, what was it, like 24, 25-yard line, something like that?
It was probably from somewhere in the 30s because it was like a 50-yard kick plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot where it was. But anyways, basically, if you get the first down, you win. You pretty much bleed the clock and make the field goal, you win the game, right? So you do have to make the field goal because there was an extra point that was blocked from the 49ers point of view. First thing, do you set yourself up for a 4th down, or do you like what Kyle Shanahan did with the 49ers? And, basically roll the dice on 3rd down. Oh, you didn't get it, take the points. My second thing is, since we know the outcome of that, if you had won the coin toss, would you have deferred or would you have received, especially with the new OT rules? And that's even interesting too, because in the new OT rules, and I believe in the playoffs, there is no time requirement. Like if it hits 15, like if the quarter ends, it's the first quarter is done. It goes to the second quarter. It's not like the game is over. So those are the 2 talking points I would like to talk about, because I think those are probably the 2 most pivotal, probably plays or decisions that happened during the game, because I think everything else is pretty even. Like the Chiefs turned the ball over, I think it was twice. The 49ers turned it over twice. So, I mean, it was very even in that regard. So that's what I would like to talk about, because I think those are definitely the 2 of the biggest talking points.
We're gonna start at the end of the game. I like it. And maybe we'll work our way backwards and talk about the beginning of the game last.
Let's be honest. That first half was pretty. Bleh. So
hey, we'll talk about it all. But that's what we do. We gotta talk about everything.
That is what we do.
Yeah.
But
I think the first thing I thought of for a topic for the Super Bowl was the overtime rules and the decisions. So I totally get why you wanted to talk about that right now. For me, I think I'll start with number 1, like your first question, then I'll let Sam answer your first question. We can talk about that and then go to your second part. For me, so essentially you're asking, should you maybe set up a run to maybe make it a 4th and shorter and then go for it? Oh, man. I think the play call was there. And I talked to you about this, Matt. On that 3rd down, I think Purdy had a quick slant or a quick, little slant to Ayuk in the slot for maybe if it was only it probably would have been at least a couple yards, because obviously the corner was coming down heavy on it, or the safety, but he was there for a throw and catch real quick. And that would have been probably a couple yards that would have set you up. So I do wonder, I think that they tried to run a play that maybe would have gotten a couple quick yards. Obviously, if it was a run, it's more guaranteed. But I think that they were already maybe thinking in that mindset to maybe try and get just a couple yards. They didn't run anything that was, big shot over the middle or anything like that. So I think in that case, I don't disagree with the play call, to be honest, but I think I would have maybe tried to run it and then go for it on 4th down. My mindset would have been to go for it on 4th down and make it a more manageable 4th down personally. That's what I would have done, because I don't want to try and let Mahomes, which was what happened, potentially take in overtime so I actually win the game. I want to try and end it on my own terms. I kick the field goal at the end of the game type of thing. So I would have tried to go for it on fourth down too, if maybe you get a couple yards. And I think kicking the field goal in that situation was smart on like a 4th and 4. I think that's a little too far in that stage of the game. So, and they obviously made it, but yeah, I would have tried to go for it personally.
I would agree with Charles there. From what I remember, a lot of big games in the past that the Chiefs have ended up losing. It was mainly because they end up not having they didn't win the game of possession. The opposing team would usually keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands and do as much as they can without him being on offense. I think it was a pretty conservative call to just go ahead and kick the ball there. On third down. But I do have to agree with Charles. I think it would have been a safer option to at least run the ball, maybe gain a couple of yards. I mean, you have Christian McCaffrey. I'm sure he's not going to do you that much bad. But if it was like fourth and manageable, like 4th and 1, 4th and 2, I definitely would have gone for it. I mean, credit to Brock Purdy where all credit is due. I totally think he would have been able to at least scrap a couple of yards out here and there. I mean, he has weapons all over the field. If I was Shanahan, I definitely wouldn't have. I would have tried to end the game there and just ice the clock if I could have, and not given Mahomes a chance to come back in OT and eventually win the game too. So I do think the 49ers made a little mistake and they didn't want to take their chances there and sell the game. Eventually they did, but I mean, I would have at least tried to go for it there and end it right there.
Yeah, I mean, I already told Charles I agreed in that sentiment already. But for me, what I would have done is because Spagnola's been around the game for a long time, and you know that he always has a timely blitz. I would have, if I was Purdy and the 49ers defense or Kyle Shanahan, I'd say, hey, Brock, make sure you have people that can, that can blitz. Or what I would have done is, since I know that you're going to blitz, I would have done like a wide receiver screen or something like that. Just because screens are basically the antidote to a blitz. And so I would have called for a screen if I'm going to be honest, because the worst thing that happens is, maybe you lose a couple yards, but at least it makes them probably have a tackle in the open field type thing, So to me, I think a screen would have been great, if I'm going to be honest, because you can always put McCaffrey out there. You can put Ayuk, Debo, the Chiefs had a hard time, kind of tackling in the open field. When it got to the red zone, they buckled down, did a great job. However, it definitely was a hard time tackling those guys. So I would have liked a wide receiver screen probably then. And then if let's say it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, go for it again. And I say that because I've been on so many, as a fan, because I'm a Patriots fan, as everyone probably knows by now on this podcast, I've been on so many comeback, victory games. Granted, I haven't been on the team, but I've watched Tom Brady do it to people over and over and over again when they oh, I'll take the points and we'll see if Brady can beat us. And it's 9 times out of 10, he will beat you. Now, there is a couple times where he won't, but are you willing to take that risk? And for me, I would rather have taken the risk on my own terms rather than, oh, I hope Brady has an off game today, or, oh, I really hope Mahomes has 3 bad plays in him. And also the same thing too is once you do score that field goal, you now give Mahomes and the Chiefs an extra down. You're oh, it has to be they have one, instead of maybe it's 3rd and 3, now it's 4th and 3 at the 45-yard line. Do we go for it? Do we not? Do we play for overtime? Right, then you make the decision on them harder if you do end up missing the 4th down conversion, etc. So I would agree with everyone on that sentiment.
And when I've watched back on the film also, the play call, I mean, obviously I think Purdy had Ayuk, like I said, and I'm really surprised he didn't go go there. He even said when he got asked about it, he was looking inside out, and so that would be his first read. So he could have had a couple yards there, but I don't like that. George Kittle in the backfield like that, and then he doesn't even pick up the blitzer, so it was the wrong protection. I don't like that. I don't like having George Kittle in the backfield like that. I want your guys like that, your playmakers out there to maybe try and make a play, utilize it more, not have him line up in the backfield. I just don't agree with that decision either. So the play was, in that sense, was just, I don't know, it felt a little off to me. And like you said, Matt, you talked about wide receiver screen. That would work too. I think the biggest thing as well in that situation, you mentioned the worst thing that could happen is they maybe lose a yard or two, right? But
I guess you could also have a fumble or whatever like that.
Yeah, assuming that doesn't happen, but they tackle them. If you don't, you get no yards, or maybe you lose a yard or two. At least you potentially force them to call a timeout, or you run more clock, which with an incomplete pass, it kept the clock at like 1:57 or whatever it was.
Exactly.
So it gave them way more time. But you could have burned a timeout too if you at least had something, that kept the clock running, and they didn't even get that. So
yeah,
I think that play was, obviously I know that the third down overtime, which I'm sure I'll talk about for the Niners, was, I think, even that was more of an opportunity, but that third down in the regulation, I think, is kind of what was the biggest play of the entire game, in my opinion. So, because you have a chance to run that clock down and win it with a field goal. And of course, he could have maybe missed. So that stuff still could have gone to overtime. You don't know, but you would have had it on your own terms potentially to try and end it.
and I think Sam can agree to this because, Brady is 2-0 against Patty Mahomes. But whenever Brady was in the league, I think everyone would agree you don't want him to have the ball last. Like, if it's down or tied, you don't want him to have the ball with any time. And that's the same area that Patrick Mahomes has gotten to already, is we don't want him on the field last. Right? And so there's only a few quarterbacks where you don't want that to have happen, and Mahomes is probably one of the only, if not maybe the only one in the league right now. Maybe Joe Burrow, just because of the weapons, and he does have that in him, I would say. I can't give it to your boy Lamar just because he hasn't really shown it in a high-pressure situation. Sorry, Charles.
No, he hasn't.
And I'm just saying Burrow just because he has beaten the Chiefs. And they were close both times. The Bengals lost last year to the Chiefs by a field goal with, a really dumb roughing the passer call. Not because it was a wrong call. It was a good call. Just, players weren't doing right. But what did they do? They left too much time on the phone. So I think that's where we've gotten to now, where Mahomes is very good. He's just an efficient quarterback. He knows his spots, know who he needs to throw it to, and you really cannot give him that much time. Even 13 seconds against the Bills was too much, right? So, and I think with the Patriots that year, whenever they forced overtime at Arrowhead, I think, what was it, like 28 seconds or something like that, Sam? I was on my mission, so I can't remember. I've watched highlights, all the time. I think it was like 21 or 28 seconds, but still, that's like the type of player he is now.
Yeah, I agree for sure. He's definitely a dog. From what Charles was talking about, the when it comes to mind with the couple key plays, I think that made the Super Bowl game. Mahomes is always impresses me. I love Mahomes, of course I do, but I really think whenever overtime started, there was a couple downs when Mahomes and Matt Nagy actually called a couple QB draws, which is super surprising to see for a team like Mahomes. If you watch the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, Lamar does it all the time, but I was genuinely shocked to see that happen, and it worked out really well, which is great. I believe there's a 4th and 1, and then there's a 3rd and long play as well. Both were pretty ballsy for him to do a QB draw. I can't even recollect the last time I've seen Mahomes do a QB draw. So I was super nervous. I was thrilled to see it work out, but I totally agree with what Matt said. He's an absolute dog. Whenever you leave him the ball to have the last possession, he will find some way to drive the ball down the field like Tom Brady. As much as it hurts me a little bit on the inside that it'll always be that 2-0 stat on Brady against Mahomes. Joe Burrow is the only one left in the league now that can beat Mahomes. So that leaves a little bit of light left. Hopefully, I'm hoping next season we will see another good playoff matchup between the Bengals and the Chiefs. Those are always fun to watch. But for now, he's got that dog. He's at the top of the highest mountain yet again. So I'm just riding the high, and hopefully he can continue it.
Well, I mean, Joe Burrow and Aiden McConnell can beat Mahomes, so you forgot about Aiden McConnell because he is 1-0 against them.
He's never stepping foot in the playoffs.
But anyways, besides the point. Besides, last Chiefs lost too to the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Super Bowl was in Las Vegas. A little bit of conspiracy there to me. It seems a little questionable, but whatever. Not my place, not my time. You guys are kind of nailing you and Matt, Sam, have kind of nailed what was going to be Matt's second point, my response to that. The overtime decision for the Niners. Do you take the ball or do you defer with the new rules? And you guys kind of answered it for me, what I was going to say. I personally, I totally get the other side of it of deferring, knowing that they might punt if they don't get, what they need to, and you have an extra down potentially if you need it, which is what happened for the Chiefs. I totally get that side. And if that's what the Niners did, I wouldn't have had a problem with it personally. But for me, in my mind, I'm thinking about third possession. Like I just, especially with that guy on the other side, I'm thinking about the third possession, assuming you both trade off scores. I don't want him to have the ball with the chance to win it on the last possession. I want to control that destiny. So I like the decision for the Niners to receive it, which I know a lot of people didn't seem to like it. And there's all the videos about even the Chiefs being surprised about it. I like it personally. I like taking the ball, if they were close to scoring, they were really close. And then if the Chiefs go out and score, all they need is one scoring drive and they win. I would rather do that than let Mahomes do that to me and give him the first possession. He scores. Then we have to come back and score if we do, and then he gets to win it. I don't want that to happen. I'm trying to control the destiny. So I personally agreed with receiving the ball, and that's my opinion on it. Because Mahomes' biggest weakness, if it's anything, is not letting him out there on the field. So you control the destiny if you go first, because if you could score, especially a touchdown, and then if they score, you just got to score again, field goal or whatnot, and you win. That's it. So that's why I agree with them actually receiving it. Now, were they maybe the most prepped for the specific rules? I don't think so, to be honest. But I do still agree with the receiving call. So then that's just my opinion. And I'm sure Sam does too, because it worked out for him. But I want to hear your thoughts still.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really happy either way because it obviously did work out for the Chiefs. I think the call was a little weird at first when I heard about when I was watching the game live, because I didn't know about the playoff rules beforehand, and apparently the Chiefs were reiterating it week after week in the playoffs too, if it was going to happen, and it did. I can see why the 49ers would want to receive the ball. I mean, admittedly, they said at first they didn't know what the rules were like, but I mean, I could still kind of see that being a better call in their hand with what you were saying, Charles. I mean, the offense actually looked surprisingly well too during the entire game. So, I mean, it's a little ballsy to trust Brock Purdy to make a playoff drive like that, but you can imagine all the pressure that would probably be on him.
He made a pretty good one.
He did, yeah.
If his O-line blocked properly, it probably would have been a touchdown drive, but that's okay. Continue.
He did, but can you imagine how much pressure him and the whole team would be on, though, if they deferred the ball and had that second possession? Because I'm sure Mahomes at least would have grinded out a field goal with that first drive, and they would have had a chance to score it for sure. But, I mean, with our defense and with Steve Spagnuolo just blitzing them all the time too, though, he probably would have gone through hell and back trying to clutch out a second drive. So I initially liked the call. I mean, they had a chance to win. They were close to it. Thankfully, our defense clutched up. But yeah, no. I mean, kind of spot on with what you said too.
Let me just also add a quick note. I think any other quarterback, except maybe like you said, Matt, Joe Burrow, I would probably defer. But since it's Mahomes, that's why I agree with receiving it, because it's that dude on the other side. It's just who he is now, like you said, Matt, and I just don't want him. That's how much I honestly respect him as a player, as much as I dislike the Chiefs and want to clown Sam, and I still will, is to the best of my ability. Mahomes is that guy, and he scares me to death. And so any other quarterback, I'm probably deferring if I win the toss, except maybe like a Joe Burrow. But like with Mahomes, that's why I would receive. I would try and set my own destiny personally against him.
So for me, I actually disagree with that. Not that I fear Mahomes. Like Mahomes is like that Brady-esque type person. Just for me personally, I like having the extra down, knowing that I have 4 downs every single time. I think that really opens up your playbook a lot more, because you're like, oh, because think about it. If you get 3 yards per carry or 3 yards per play, you're like, that's fine. That means that it's at 4th and 1 every single time, right? And the way they're moving the ball, I'll take CMC every day, whatever, right? And you're probably going to get more than 3 yards per play, or, more or less whatever, like your average, right? I was thinking about this more and more. I would actually counter Mahomes. So I would let him have the ball first. Let's say they score a touchdown and kick the field goal for 7, right? For Purdy, you now know, okay, I have 4 downs every time. Let's say they score. But you know what I'm doing to counter that point of not going to that 3rd possession?
Yeah.
I'm going for 2.
Man, that is very ballsy, but
here's the
honestly,
thing.
yeah.
Here's the thing. If I know that Brady or Mahomes on the other side of the ball, and I'm like, you know what? All I need is a field goal after this, which you have a guy like Butker who, smashed the 57-yard field goal, was just doing very well. That's like having Adam Vinatieri, right? You're like, okay, this dude's clutch, or Justin Tucker. It's like, you know what? I'm going to go for 2. And you know what? If let's say they don't make it, yeah, people are like, oh, they should have tied it to go to another round. And it's like, okay, so we're going to play another 5 minutes to just lose on a field goal. Like, you're in the Super Bowl for a reason. Like, might as well go win it. And to your point, to counter the Mahomes thing, make sure he doesn't go on the field again, you go for 2.
Yeah, you honestly could. Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
And that's the thing too, is like now, like let's say this happens several times in the playoffs, right? And that happens to where people go for 2 afterwards. Then it really gets into the head of, okay, if we get the ball first and we score a touchdown, do we also go for 2, or do we kick the field goal, right? Like there's just some mind games that you can play with that. And I like my chances scoring from like the 3-yard line and beating Mahomes than having my defense stop Mahomes. As good as the 49ers defense played, like you said, I'd rather have the destiny in my hands. And if you call a great play, like what the Chiefs did in the past 2 Super Bowls with that, inside out curl that they did to Hardman and then they did to Kadarius Toney, right? If you get, they just did a 2-point conversion each time and it worked, because that's basically where they were each time to win the Super Bowl against the Eagles and the 49ers. So to me, I'd rather kick, see what I have to do. Great, I have now 4 downs for the whole field. And at the very end, I'm not letting Mahomes see the ball. Once he gets in that end zone, great. You're not seeing it for the rest of the game. Either we're winning or you're losing. Like, that's kind of what I'm doing.
To be honest, now that you put in that perspective, I actually would flip over and do what you did, and I would go for 2. I would not, obviously seeing what you have to do, I would go for 2 too. I wouldn't. And if we don't get it, we don't get it. That would hurt really bad, but I honestly agree with you, Matt. That's a good point. I would just go for 2 and go for the win.
It would hurt, but if you really want to take the decision away from Mahomes, that's what you have to do. Just like if you want to take the decision away from Brady, it's kind of what you had to do. And, some teams, that was what they did, is they just ran the ball, did the time of possession, right? That's basically a time of possession right there. You're like, fine, we're not going to let you see the ball again.
Hey,
granted, I know, and we can move on after this, but think about it. If you do make it, you're now, wow, you're a genius, you're awesome. If you miss it, it's not like, oh, that was a terrible decision. It was, I get it, I understand. I think it's a little different than taking the ball first, getting a field goal. Then you're like, oh, Patrick Mahomes only needs to do a field goal or touchdown. That's like so much pressure off.
Yeah, let's just say I didn't have the proper knowledge of the Super Bowl overtime rules, like certain team that lost in the.
It's playoff.
Well, yeah, let me just say I didn't have as much knowledge as I should have, aka like the 49ers did. Because yeah, honestly, Matt, if you said that, you covered my point, but even better. Because like I don't want Mahomes to get the ball again, but this is actually you have one drive to do it. You don't have to do it in 2 drives, and you know what you'd have to do if they don't get it. So honestly, your point is better than mine. Yeah, I have to admit that, sadly. But I'm gonna join Team Matt on that one. I'm not getting Mahomes the ball back, I'm going for it. That's for sure. So honestly, I agree with it.
Which I think is a sign of respect. Like, and I think maybe I don't know. Sam,
I do.
You feel too, but like, I feel like it's a respect thing because who was the only quarterback that really had that kind of like killer instinct people didn't want in the league? It was Brady. And now that Mahomes has that respect, I feel like that's like a compliment.
I feel like knowing Kyle Shanahan, though, if they did defer, they probably would have just kicked the extra point if they scored on the second, and then Mahomes would have won on a field goal winning drive, to be honest. I feel like he wouldn't go for 2. I don't know. I just don't see him doing that, but I would do that for sure.
Do you imagine like how disappointing their fan base would be too, though, if the 49ers ended up going for 2 and they didn't make it, though? Their fans would be
you're going to regardless, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really do think that Patrick Mahomes is the next Brady, right? Would you rather lose on a 2-point conversion, or would you rather have a 3-4 minute drive, them drive into field goal range and kick a field goal on you?
Yeah.
You're right, though, Sam. There's a big, like, if they don't get that, though, then it's like, wow, like
a lot of pressure.
You could just kick type of thing.
But I mean, that's how life too. Like, think about like the stocks, right? If you don't bet a lot of money on the stocks, you're not going to make a lot of money, right? Like, if you lose a lot of money, you're going to be sad and like, crap. But if you put a lot of money in, you're going to be like, this is the best decision ever, right? And so I think that's the whole point of those things. You have to make a split decision. And so far, Andy Reid and Mahomes have been great at it, just like Belichick and Brady were. They took the right risks at the right times. But for me, even as a fan, and granted, I've had Brady as my quarterback for like ever. But if I'm on the other side, like even if let's say it was the Brady and Chiefs and the Chiefs got the overtime thing, that 2018 year, and you guys had beat us on a 2-pointer or had lost on a 2-pointer, I'd be like, I know why you did that. That makes sense. That's smart. Not that was so dumb. It's not like you're playing, Brock Osweiler going for 2.
Well, to be fair, going back to the AFC Championship game, you didn't have to make an extra point try. If you just scored that game, you won. But I mean,
with the new rules,
right?
It was the Bills Chiefs game that implemented that rule, and a couple years later, obviously that insane divisional showdown.
Yeah,
I do like the rule. I think it's better for the game, especially when it's playoff time. I like that each team gets a chance to have the ball. I think it's just a lot better.
Yeah.
If only that could have applied to Brady, maybe he would have lost some more of those OT games. But
maybe.
Yeah, he just did what he had to do. He just followed the rules that were in place at the time, right?
Yeah.
So Matt always says, you do what you got to do.
Josh was the one guy that was able to throw big enough of a fit for it to change. It wasn't.
You know what's crazy is like literally that next game for the Chiefs. I mean, I guess they were kind of falling apart, but they literally won the toss, and it was the 3 and out essentially because Mahomes just threw a pick on that play. Like, I just don't know what happened to him that drive, to be honest. I know Joe Burrow beat Mahomes technically, and he did have to come back, but like Mahomes fell apart. Like I've never seen him fall apart. I feel like in that game, so it kind of gifted Joe Burrow that win, to be honest.
Yeah,
but,
no, that was shocking.
Yeah, because I was thinking, they won the toss, they're gonna win again, and he like throws a pick on the third play on the 3rd down. I'm like, what happened? What is he doing?
You can kind of think of it as a Mickey Mouse ring for Joe Burrow.
Well, he didn't even win.
Yeah, he didn't even end up beating the Rams.
He didn't even win, so it's not even a ring.
It's just on us. It's our fault for losing that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was. That's probably the worst Mahomes game I've ever seen.
Ever seen?
Well, playoff time,
Yeah,
yeah,
playoff
definitely.
for
Well,
it.
the Super Bowl was bad, but like that was worse because you had like a big lead and then you just fell apart the second half.
Well, I don't think any game is gonna beat the game with us and the Raiders on Christmas Day too. Though that was like the worst I've seen the Chiefs play.
Hey, it's their last loss of the season.
I guess so. It only counts as one loss on the stat sheet, but that watching that game in person, like live, it felt like it should have counted for like 4 losses.
Here's the
Or-
thing: it doesn't matter how many games you lose during the season that look terrible. If you win the Super Bowl, no one cares.
You're right.
And let me just say, this was the most impressive Chiefs run in the Mahomes era for sure. Finally, they weren't having a first round bye their first year. They had to go on the road in two playoff games against two of the best quarterbacks, and they went and did that. And then they, came back to beat the Niners. This was the gutty. Before I said, it reminded me kind of like the Giants, those Eli Manning Giants. Maybe didn't look the best. And I know the Chiefs had won obviously the year before. The Giants hadn't done that, especially before 2007. But they were a team that wasn't maybe playing like they had not the best playoff record going in. Like at 10-win mark. And then you have to go win wild card. You got to win divisional championship and then Super Bowl. So it was. Honestly, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that the Chiefs did pull this off. Like, Matt had been thinking they were going to lose all the way back to the divisional, to the Bills. And it really is impressive. I only can tip my hat. And I just still in the back of my mind think, how did this happen?
Right.
And
yeah.
It's obviously I think Lamar's fault. It's a big part of it too. I think Lamar kind of set this up because he sucked. The offensive game plan sucked. But let me just say, and hey, it's okay because this happened to Brady, but Mahomes finally had a good defense kind of carry him to a degree. I mean, honestly, like last year was okay. It wasn't maybe as good as this year's. And then his first year, they weren't that good. So he kind of did on his own. But this year, they honestly carried him, I would say. So congrats to Mahomes for them building a good team around him in terms of the defensive side of the ball.
You're still not over that game, that AFC Championship game, huh? With Lamar.
No, that was stupid. I don't know what happened.
Well, and then here's what I was though, just because like supposedly we only have 8 minutes left. It's almost been 45 minutes. But
where's the energy?
No. I would like to say though, texting Charles this, it will be interesting to see who the Chiefs can retain, because you're starting to get into like where Patrick Mahomes is making like a ton of money, like $50 million a year cap hit, which Brady never did because he won that dynasty type stuff. Like when Travis Kelce retires, that's going to be huge. I think that's even more of a loss than Tyreek Hill was to the Chiefs.
2 Super Bowls after they traded him. I don't think that was really a loss. Continue though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if Travis Kelce is gone, is it a little different? Maybe. I mean, look at whenever Gronk retired. Brady wasn't as effective, and then guess what? Did he win when Gronk came back? Yes, he did. Right? So it seems like if you have your guys, like he had Edelman and Gronk for those last years. And then for the beginning years, he had Deion Branch and Brady, some other pieces, right? I think that's what's going to be interesting is what the cap hit is going to be. So I think that's something to watch if I'm a Chiefs fan. That's my only concern.
I'm really not worried about that. There were a lot of concerns about that the year before we beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, that the cap hit was coming, and then that was also the same year that Chris Jones was talking about leaving the Chiefs and I believe sitting out for weeks until he got like good contract negotiations. I think it would still work out in the end. I don't know what specifically the cap hit was for Mahomes this year. I know it's going to improve a little bit for next year, but I mean, the Chiefs has done an incredible job developing the players that they drafted from getting those picks that they traded for Tyreek Hill. two key players that they got from the Tyreek Hill trade, the picks, they were Trent McDuffie and Rashee Rice. Both were amazing in the regular season and in the playoffs. So I have no concern for that. And Brett Veach, we trust. He did an amazing job. The only concerning players that did a little iffy last season, they were mostly rookies, and they did amazing this year. If we get rid of Juwan Taylor, that'll be like a cherry on like the Chiefs dynasty cake. I will eat it all up. And if this is our last year that we're really, really good, then I will live it up. I mean, I only wanted one ring from us, and now to this day we have 3. So I'm over the moon.
Just to give you perspective, Sam. So in 2020, so this is Patrick Mahomes' cap hit was $5 million, 21 was 7, 22 was 35, 23 was 37, but then this year is 58, 25 is 60, 26 is 63, and 27 is 59.
Oh no.
So that's why I'm saying it'll be interesting, because then it's like, okay, where's the money? And I know you can restructure and do that kind of stuff, but like that's why that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And then in 2028, for some reason, it goes to 27, but then in 29 it goes 34, in 2030 it's 45, in 2031 it's 48.
Why are you listening to that? It doesn't even matter after like 2028, to be honest. I don't know why you're still going, but whatever.
Then in year 32 and 33, 60 million. I'm just saying, if you want a dynasty, that's all I'm saying.
Hey, all I know is you're right about Travis Kelce retiring. That's going to be big, but for right now, they're going to one of these two is going to leave. I don't think they don't have the cap room. That it's either going to be Chris Jones or L'Jarius Sneed, and I think they're going to let Chris Jones walk. To be honest, I don't think he's coming back. I think they should re-sign L'Jarius Sneed if anyone, but I think that Chris Jones is probably going to leave. To be honest, and that'll probably be sad for you. But I mean, he got 3 rings with him, so you can't be that sad. But
he did say during the Super Bowl parade, though, he had a little. He was able to talk on stage for a second, and he said he's going to come back next year and the year after that. I don't know if it was just
that's what they all say. That's what they all say at the parade.
Hey, there's one thing, Sam. Money talks.
Money does talk. That is true.
Yeah, they can't afford to pay him with the cap hit that Mahomes is about to have as well. Like Matt said, they're not going to have any cap, especially if they got a. Well, L'Jarius Sneed's going to demand a big contract, deservedly. Unless they tag, I don't know how the tags work. We'll see what happens, but I don't think they can sign them.
Yeah, I already believe they spent a lot of money re-extending Spagnuolo to a contract extension just a couple days ago, I think. But yeah, the cap is really going to stretch, especially with Mahomes' money going out that much. I'm sure he's very loyal, and he'll pull probably like a Tom Brady, I hope. So he's like, I want a dynasty. I want to keep all these great players around me. It's definitely going to be sad if we see a guy like Chris Jones go, though, still.
I understand your feeling. I think the Ravens have 13 defensive guys that are unrestricted free agents, so we're going to lose some talent for sure, which is going to suck.
Right.
Yeah, Lamar's cap hit. It's going to – I don't know when that hits, to be honest. Probably this year or next year, but
yeah,
whatever. I was going to say, though, that I'm honestly not satisfied with the camaraderie in this episode. I want a little more fire. I need to pour a little gasoline here. So I do want to bring some. I know we're supposed to only try and do 45 minutes. So Matt, you couldn't shut me up if you want, but I want to try and bring a little more fire.
From time.
I thought Matt was going to bring more. I thought Sam was going to bring more. I'm a little disappointed, but it's okay. Maybe it's just not the day. But
I brought fire.
All I know is I do have something I need to point out here. I don't know if it was every playoff game or if it's just the Super Bowl. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I saw a thing that said, I think it's just Super Bowl. The Chiefs have not been called for a single holding penalty in these past 3 Super Bowls or 4 Super Bowls, I think, even the first Niners one in the Mahomes era. Not a single holding penalty, which honestly, BS.
No, I'm pretty sure on one of the 49ers' last drives before we went to overtime.
That's defensive holding, good sir.
It doesn't.
You know what holding means. It's offense.
Yeah,
know what holding is.
It's ridiculous. It only counts offensive holding we got called for
That's
a couple pretty big defensive holding calls, but yeah,
well,
offense.
no, offensive holding is the most notorious one. That's the one everyone knows about. You know, like when the O line holds.
Yeah,
If you don't think that one of your boys didn't hold Nick Bosa, you're crazy.
well, to counter that argument, there was a really big player that was being interviewed. I think it was Andrew Whitworth actually. Um, he was saying with a guy like Nick Bosa, though, you kind of are forced to have to hold him a little bit just because he's such a big, like, mobile body.
And
And
see that's fine, but it means that if you're saying you kind of have to force a little bit, it means when you're tired, it means you're really holding him if you're tired.
right, the refs. I mean, the refs have a little bit of leniency to those offensive holding calls. I don't really know what to say about that. People can conspire against the Chiefs in that way, I guess. I mean, win is a win at the end of the day. We won. I mean, that's what matters to me. Offensive holding or not.
So, how did the Chiefs lead the NFL in holding penalties this season and not get called for one? And I've seen a couple of videos where there was definitely some holds. But so you're telling me Jawan Taylor out of nowhere just became one of the best linemen because he didn't like have any holds, no nothing, when he was just terrible all year.
No, he didn't. He didn't even do that great in the Super Bowl. I don't think. None of the offensive lineman guys, they didn't really do that great.
See, that's the point. If you don't think they did great, it means what do you think they got away with?
I guess holding.
Hey, let me just. There's also we haven't even brought this up yet, which I can't believe we haven't even brought up. But like, if the muff punt doesn't happen, the Chiefs might not even win, to be honest. But
That's not even our fault, though. Well, actually, that is our fault for stopping that. Are you talking about the missed field goal?
no, the one that hit the dude's leg. McLeod saw it, tried to get it, but he couldn't
Oh,
recover.
well,
And then you literally scored right after
that's
one play.
not our fault, though.
That's not your fault. I'm just saying that if the Niners don't let that happen, then Brock Purdy's probably hosting the Lombardi up. But
I don't know about that. That's a big stretch.
And I think Matt said it perfectly. Like
they were down.
Teams just went away from what they did well for some reason against you guys, and I don't know why they decided to do that. They kind of gifted the Chiefs those Super Bowl runs.
I don't know about gifting it to us. I mean,
why do you run the ball 6 times the whole game if you're Baltimore, if not Lamar?
How I don't know how I'm supposed to defend your team, Charles. I'm sorry.
No, you're not supposed to. You're just supposed to.
But
you're supposed to question it too.
I'm not questioning it. I am embracing the greatness that is the 2023 Chiefs. We beat Tua, Josh Allen, Lamar, and Brock Purdy. That is the true gauntlet. But what you were saying earlier, even if that muff punt wouldn't have happened, the 49ers would have been on like the 15-yard line. If you really trust Brock Purdy to run the ball 85 yards down the field, then so be it. I mean, the Super Bowl is at that point. But
the 49ers were leading at that point. BT Dubs.
Well, they were, but they
Look,
still.
let me put it like this. Do I trust Brock Purdy? I mean, yeah, a little bit. Do I trust Kyle Shanahan? Not really. Because let me also say this. His play calling was questionable at best. And he's suspect, honestly, in the biggest moments. That third quarter stretch, even after the pick, when they just had 3 straight 3-and-outs, was some of the worst play calling I've ever seen. It made me not want to watch it anymore. It was so stupid. Like, I just didn't understand what they were doing.
It was pretty bad.
And Kyle Shanahan, he's great. He's been great, but like, you got to start. If you don't step up in these moments, you're gonna get fired, bro.
I'm not gonna stay in the NFL. Yeah,
you're gonna get fired if you can't step up.
No,
win these games.
No thanks to George Kittle. He did absolutely nothing during the Super Bowl. He made like an iconic reel during 54 where he's like, "I'm gonna be back in this stage, and we're gonna take the Lombardi home," or whatever like that. He finished
with one catch.
Yeah, 1 catch for 5 yards.
And
dude.
Deebo Samuel sucked too. He couldn't get open.
Literally,
we were right. Me and you were right, Sam. And remember, Matt asked, "Can they guard the 49ers weapons?" And you said, "Yeah." And I was like, honestly, I second that. They did it.
They absolutely
49ers or that Chiefs secondary. Those corners are so sticky. And then when I was watching the film, dude, like Deebo like never got open. Like they were always running with them, and I was like, I thought you were supposed to be the guy to. And I know, yes, he was kind of injured in his hamstring later on, but like I was like, you're supposed to be the guy who they paid you a bunch of money. You're supposed to make these plays, and he couldn't get open.
Yeah, same with Ayuk. He had a couple big plays, but the same case with Debo too. When you looked at the 49ers and their best player was Jawan Taylor, you know the Chiefs are doing something right because most of the time Nick Bolton was on Jawan Taylor and he's an inside linebacker. What is he
Jawan
do?
Jennings, you mean?
Jawan Jennings.
Yeah,
He was their best receiver, and he scored his touchdown against L'Jarius Sneed, and he got that holding penalty in overtime against L'Jarius Sneed. He was like the only receiver. I mean, Ayuk had a couple plays. Debo did have like a couple, but like he was their best receiver, and he's their fourth guy behind Kittle, to be honest, as a pass catcher.
Well, and that's in the wise words of Shaq. So at some points, you need your others to stand up, and they did. That's what makes a good team.
Hey, let me just say this, Sam. In your honest opinion, do you think that this Chiefs dynasty is more impressive than anything the Patriots ever did during their dynasties?
Oh, that's definitely a cherry pick question by Charles to get us riled up. I don't know. I mean, the Patriots are still incredibly impressive. I think. I really kind of wish to this day that it still would have been going on at least a little bit. I'm kind of sad how the Patriots and Billy B broke it all off, but and also to add on to that too, with all the controversy with Tom Brady speaking out about how Bill Belichick treated him a little bit, and he didn't really want to go back to the Patriots. But I mean, I still have a lot of respect for them. Kind of as what Matt was talking about. I think there's going to have to be at least like a second and even a third era with the Chiefs if they even want to be on par as for a dynasty with the Patriots. Because, like Matt said, Tom Brady went through a gauntlet of all sorts of different weapons, and most of them worked out for him great. But I mean, it's still going to be a real test to see what Mahomes is going to do when they don't have Travis Kelce anymore. Obviously, we all seen how they perform with Tyreek not being there. They've been just fine. Tyreek's been crying in a corner. It's been awesome to see, but Travis is truly a game changer, and the tight end position is so important in the playoffs. So it'll be really interesting to see. Hopefully, we just draft another guy though. Like I don't know, freaking George Kittle 2.0. We'll just have him going on for Travis Kelce. Well, hopefully, it'll work out in a perfect way.
Sam is just a little scared. I actually think that this run right now is better than the Patriots' first part. The 2000s run. I personally do.
You need to explain yourself for that, mister.
I just think that they have played better. I think that, played better competition.
Because Charles wasn't alive to watch it.
The games are different. The game is different now, but yeah,
Charles,
I think it was better.
Game. You're right.
Technically, no, I wasn't, but
I mean, do I think that the Rams team that the Patriots beat is better than any of the teams that the Chiefs beat? Yeah.
Any of the teams the Chiefs beat.
Dude, it's called the greatest show on turf for a reason.
Well, they did say it was the greatest show on turf. At that point, they had Kurt Warner at QB, though. I don't know if you can say how good a Kurt Warner of a QB is, though.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer QB, but that's a little bit more of his backstory, though, just because he was kind of more of a nobody before he came into the league.
Doesn't matter what his backstory is. He's a Hall of Famer.
He is a Hall of Famer. I will say that.
Okay, Isaac Bruce. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Is Torrey Holt a Hall of Famer?
Torrey Holt's a Hall of Famer, yes.
Is Kevin Falk also a Hall of Famer?
Marshall Falk?
No, Kevin Falk. Or is it Kevin or Marshall? One of the two is the running back.
You're Marshall Falk.
Who also played with the Patriots. Yes, he's a Hall of Famer. So you got 4 Hall of Famer offense.
Well, you can argue with that just because the Chiefs team is still so young that no one's even qualified to be in the Hall of Fame yet. So you can't be a Hall of Famer.
Well, no. Is Kelce going to be Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Debatable.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's not the point, Sam. The point is, who did they play? On the opposite side, this 49ers team, who's a Hall of Famer in there?
Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey,
okay.
Nick Bosa at this rate. They're all pretty young, though. That's another thing, but they don't have any. Nick Bosa's probably on pace. I mean,
Oh, Brock Purdy, definitely.
Maybe, I don't know. You never know.
Maybe, but
He's-
all I'm saying is like the Patriots in that run were not supposed to win, and Brady hadn't lost a game
Chiefs
before.
were underdogs this whole playoff run.
But okay, great. The Patriots were underdogs all 4 years, so whatever. So, but also the Patriots, right? They didn't lose a game until like that fourth time trying to go for a Super Bowl. Had not lost.
That's
Dang.
true. Yeah.
But have the Chiefs? Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean,
hey, I know that the Patriots did beat the Giants to go perfect.
oh, that is true.
but-
Steve Spagnuolo, baby.
Yeah,
But
I was on the team too.
when the Chiefs have one of those seasons, then I will say that their dynasty is just as good as the Patriots. Until then, and until they have 6 Super Bowls as well, no.
I mean, just as I know, obviously the NFC season was amazing, but they didn't win. I can't give it as much credit. I mean, it deserves credit, but you know,
Here's the thing, but that's why you play the game, right? Sometimes you get lucky. Did we beat the Giants in the regular season? Yeah, we did.
you know
Did
what?
we-
They did actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched the highlights of that Super Bowl not too long ago, and the Patriots just I don't know what happened. They just
Yeah, see, so that's what, and here's the thing: if you put that team against like basically any other team, and they've done it with the Dover rankings, whatever, still like a number 1, number 2 greatest team ever. So it's like, and that's when we said that was Brady and his like couldn't win a Super Bowl year because it was 10 years between his 3rd Super Bowl and 4th Super Bowl, even though he'd been to 2. So I mean, in total, Brady went to what was it, 9 as a Patriot. 10 altogether, went 7-3. So I think there's also that too. So if Mahomes and them can go to 9, that's also reaching that territory.
Mm.
I just wish that this would have happened in high school, like Chiefs were like this, because Matt went at it with our high school friends. A lot of them I remember Broncos fans, but they went at it over football because of that was when the Broncos were pretty good too, and knocked Patriots off a couple times and stuff. So that would have been awesome if this was going on right now during that time, because you and Matt would have probably been going at it at lunch.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have even happened.
It's funny how Matt's so defensive, but then whenever the Chiefs win, he kind of like says stuff that people would say to him about the Patriots, and then he's complaining on the other side of it, type of thing. So it's just
Yeah.
funny to see.
No, I give the Chiefs their respect. No, is their run considered a dynasty? Yes. Because if the Patriots were a dynasty during their run, then what's the difference between the Chiefs and the Patriots? Other than they're like 20 years apart, or
Yeah,
since the 2014 to 18 run, it's what, 5 years apart?
one.
Well, not even just dicey, but just when the Chiefs win and stuff, you just kind of nitpick at things of why they shouldn't move on. But I do too. But I at least have an excuse.
I mean, everyone nitpicks. Everyone nitpicks.
But you were so defensive when people nitpicked about the Patriots.
Yeah, but it's a little different because
There's a lot to defend for the Patriots.
there's a lot. Also, I do have to say I am a little bit more nitpicky because of all social media that Patrick Mahomes and all them get. Freaking, I'd like to say that.
Just delete social media or don't follow NFL anymore.
Ooh, so funny, Charles. As we have a freaking podcast.
You don't use that Instagram anyways.
Yo, I look at it.
Okay. You stare at it, huh?
I look at it.
I mean, that's what you do on social media. You look at things, right? So
yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we're all more connected. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everyone is like doing stuff. You see it more, like the blow up that Travis Kelce had. You see that way more than, like, let's say Tom Brady blew up on Bill Belichick in 01 or 02 or whatever. And people aren't going to be too worried, right? So it's just different.
Mhm.
Also, I appreciate Sam's story post of the outdoor boys. I thought that was funny. I just posted the picture of him with the alligator.
That was so out of left field. Where'd that come from?
It confused me why you did it. I was like, what are you doing?
I didn't think it was that confusing at the time, but yeah, Charles I think whenever I posted that, like 10 minutes later, Charles DM'd me. I was like, "What? I'm so confused by this."
We should have honestly a separate topic maybe one of these upcoming episodes about posting about sports teams winning, because to me personally that makes no sense. I don't know why people do it, and you two do it, and so we should discuss that. I think it'd be funny.
You keep your receipts on it.
Well, I mean, I just like I don't know why that's just how I am. I'm like, if my team wins, I'm not gonna like post about it. I don't care enough to do that.
Yeah,
Like the people who actually care about sports are already gonna know their win. I don't need to show everyone else.
If I were,
I'm not trying to be judgmental. That's just how I think.
That's fair. If I were in your shoes, Charles, too, and if I had to root for a lousy team like the Ravens, I would try to nitpick on better teams too. So I get your pain.
Lousy team like the Ravens. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I really can't defend it or argue it because
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's next year defending MVP.
Well, at least I don't root for the Grizzlies.
Well, the jawless Grizzlies.
Never won a NBA championship. Grizzlies.
They're a husk of a team now. Yeah, never won an NBA championship. Their best timing was when they were still in that Bass Pro Pyramid in Tennessee. But now they're out of it. They're done. They're done. Because
right. Let's just get the Matt song.
Yeah, we're rambling too much. Let's Matt take the stage.
Hey, that was a little more. Like I said, and it's funny because Autumn is upset that I like to instigate things so much, but it's just who I am. And it's so funny to me.
Yeah.
And like I think it brings better conversation out, at least for me. So you guys need to burn me though sometimes.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I made the Ravens comment. That's about as far as I went.
Oh.
You seem like you're pretty accepted of it already, though. But.
Dude, I can't defend it, man. We sucked. We literally suck so much, and it's so frustrating.
I know.
Our offense literally, we paid all those receivers to do what? Nothing. OBJ did nothing. Rashad Bateman did nothing. Mark Andrews, I mean, he was hurt, but he didn't do anything. Likely did nothing. Shotgun every play. Lamar shotgun goes back, goes for a pass. No one's open. Runs around, throws incomplete. It's literally what happened. All right, I'm done.
Well, all right. One last thing I'll say before we let Matt take the stage. I remember all the years beforehand, though. You're like, Lamar's such a good QB. I just wish he had weapons. Devin Duvernay showed up. Freaking Zay Flowers. You guys drafted him.
Devin Duvernay's not a receiver weapon. He's a punt returner weapon.
Hey, but I do have to say, though, just because you throw weapons and stuff doesn't mean you shouldn't do things that you're particularly the best at.
Let's be real, though. OBJ wasn't that great this year. He's not really a weapon. The only real weapon they had was Zay Flowers, and likely kind of turned into a good player.
Basically, Sam, what you're asking is saying, oh, what Patrick Mahomes should do instead is be like Lamar Jackson and do more QB draws. Well, that's not what he's good at. He's good at throwing the ball. Is Lamar Jackson good at throwing the ball compared to his running ability and elusiveness? No. And what did you get away from? His best qualities and characteristics.
Lamar running is like a 10, him throwing is like an 8. So I think it's somewhat close, but it's definitely not the ability.
Lamar's like
actually, his running is like a 12 out of 10, to be honest.
Let's be real. His throwing's a
7.
Okay, I'll accept a 7. That's still pretty good, though.
Patrick Mahomes' ability, arm, 11. Yeah. Drops it in buckets, great, 11. His running ability, and I'll say 5. Because it gets the jump, but you're not really too worried about him running the ball.
Lamar also doesn't call plays either. Like that, he didn't call all those passes in the second half or anything, and he can't make his receivers get open. He doesn't have a Travis Kelce to throw to every play if he needs it a check down, but it's okay.
Mark Andrews, what?
Because like Lamar would buy time, but like none of the receivers were ever open. I swear, except Zay sometimes. Like he would buy the time, but like Bateman's not that good. No offense, he was not worth a first round pick. And then OBJ is he's gotten too old, too many injuries. He was too inconsistent. And that was our receivers besides Jose. So
Mark Andrews.
Enough of the Ravens.
Go back to Mark Andrews.
Well, he's pretty good. He's not Kelce, but he's decent. And he just come back from like an 8-game break, so I can't blame him for not doing much.
You're right. All right.
I'm no more Ravens, but hey, it's all right. At least they're purple, and I like purple.
That's one takeaway, Charles. I like that.
Let me sing this song as our outro, so that way we can leave since we've gone overtime once again. But that's
Thank
okay.
goodness the Patriots suck. Also, keeps Matt's ego in check.
What do you mean? Dude, I could care less.
Care less about what?
Matt's already gone through a lifetime of like playoff success.
I've gone through a lifetime of winning. I don't care.
Yeah, he can coast off in the sunset at this point.
Here's the thing, Charles.
You would say that if they made a run and they lost.
Charles, will you ever watch the Ravens win the Super Bowl? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If I watched the Patriots win the Super Bowl, yes.
Wait.
And it's funny because you picked them because they were the bandwagon team.
But
no,
best team.
Not pick them for the bandwagon team, and you can even ask my parents.
Wait. That's right. You picked them because everyone was rooting for the Rams, but they were already in the Super Bowl. But like, you didn't pick a team based off of anything else besides them already being in the Super Bowl. So that's kind of not fair.
I was 3.
But
why would you pick a team when you were 3?
Because I.
The Ravens actually.
So Matt's one of those guys that the tweet says about, like letting sports affect grown men that they picked since they were children or whatever it is, like letting them ruin their lives.
Contrary to what Matt said too, the Ravens are actually fairly successful, like playoff wise, for an expansion team.
They've won 2 Super Bowls in my life technically, but I just wasn't a fan.
I know that. When Charles has been a fan, he has never watched them win a Super Bowl.
Oh, bandwagon!
I mean, Artigue and I we're just gonna become football AI fans and not root for any teams or players. We're just gonna watch football and just analyze the game.
You're just gonna hate all the time?
No, we're not. We're just gonna analyze the game. We're just gonna be like, number 15 throws the ball to number 87 for 7 yards on a slant.
So boring.
Honestly, man, maybe we shouldn't root for teams anymore. I think it makes our mental health digress.
Not. No. That is a terrible take, Charles. We need to stop the podcast now.
Well, I'm trying to, but we keep talking.
Right after Matt.
I'm gonna get rid of all my Ravens gear. No, dude, you gotta. It's late for me. That's my excuse. Go ahead, Matt. Just end it.
Yep.
All right. I'm ending this with my song that I promised Charles and Sam. I don't really know what song this is to, but here it is. Sam, are you ready?
Yes, go for it, Matt. Do you want like a beat behind it or anything?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Here we go. In the city where the stars shine bright, there's a legend on the court, pure dynamite. LeBron James, a king with a crown. King James. Dribbling through defenders, never backing down. That is verse 1. Here's the chorus. You ready, boys? Oh, LeBron on the hardwood stage, a living legend writing history on every page. From the slam dunks to the three-point swish, in the game of life, you're the ultimate dish. Ooh. Fire. Verse 2. From Cleveland to Miami, welcome to Miami. It's a Will Smith song. And now in LA, you've conquered every challenge in every single way. With a heart of gold and a passion so bold, you inspire generations, young and old. Don't worry, your part's coming up, Sam. Oh, LeBron with a legacy so grand, a basketball maestro, the king of the land. On and off the court, you lead with might. In the realm of greatness, you're taking flight. And now, here's Sam's favorite part. Now let's take a moment, a shout out so true, to Patty Mahomes with skills to woo.
Woo!
On the football field, he's a force and tamed, a quarterback wizard forever acclaimed.
Oh!
In the world of sports where greatness collides, LeBron and Mahomes, two stars who ride. In different arenas, their stories unfold. A tale of triumph, a courage untold.
Dang, that's awesome. Nice. Nicely done, Matt.
Well, how'd you come up with those lyrics?
What?
Those are pretty good lyrics. How'd you come up with them?
Oh, I think what you could say is me and Kanye are pretty close.
Some technology?
Well, you have to use your resources.
Oh,
no. We got to, because this is a homework assignment. Can we see what resources you used? Can you tell us what you used?
Yeah, you can see. I used this as inspiration. I was like, let me see. Oh, yeah. Anthony, he's a wizard. Boom. Patrick Mahomes, wizard.
Sam, I just want you to guess. How did Matt come up with those lyrics, in your opinion?
Okay, well, to be fair, that was excellent. I really enjoyed that.
It was good. It's
I
too good though. Matt wouldn't come up with that.
I can't say I didn't have like thoughts of AI in the back of my mind when you're saying that. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'll just say Matt went out of his way to make an impressive beat.
There's no chance Matt came up with that on his own.
Yo,
Absolutely no idea. No way.
Oh, I made some effort.
Well, you made effort to come up with a script.
Yeah, I came up with it right here in the noggin, like
No,
Kanye.
on the keyboard.
Oh, Charles. Wow.
Hey,
Wow.
There he goes hating again. Come on,
Dude,
Charles.
the hate fuels my muscles.
He is just being so mean to me because I'm a Patriots fan. He's just
That's
mad.
right. That's right. He's gone after you all this whole podcast, Matt. You need to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, because you're too scared to, Sam.
Guess what? I just did a banger, and you know it. Guess what? Patty Mahomes, LeBron James.
Let me put it like this: have I given Sam a lot of crap in our lives? According to you guys, yes, I have. So I got to spread it. I can't just give it to Sam all the time. I got to give it to Matt too. It's not fair if I just trash on Sam every episode. I gotta mix it in.
I mean, because you lose that argument in the first place. Because the Chiefs are actually good for once.
I'm not saying just about the Chiefs. I'm just saying in general.
Hey, let's just say sometimes Sam makes very much Skip Bayless and Nick Wright comments, so he deserves it.
Hey man,
that's just what Matt thinks. Don't worry, Sam.
Favorite sports like reporters too, so I mean it's only fair.
Hey, Skip Bayless and Nick Wright make a lot of money, Sam. That's a compliment.
That's true.
Yeah,
I a lot of money for being super outlandish, but
yeah, I know. Honestly, if a win is a win had a little bit of a bigger budget, I definitely would have had an opening like Nick Wright's on his podcast.
Didn't he have like a big
whole band
king chair as well? Like
he had
a king chair he sat in,
yeah. King chair too, and like a robe. He had a whole marching band play for him. It was amazing.
All I know is like what you should have done this episode is when Matt and I were going off or whatever, just saying random crap about how the Chiefs, this Chiefs that. You could have just said a win's a win. That's all you could have just been like, well, they won, so who cares?
It's okay, because Sam was actually a good sport and wanted to debate and talk, so that's why we like and appreciate Sam.
You're right. I mean, I'm all for debate.
That's true. And I think Matt would do that too, but I remember Matt is more of just a win is a win guy.
Oh my goodness, Charles.
Someone's got to go to bed. It's past his bedtime.
Yeah, what an L take.
Hey, that was Matt in high school. That's all I know.
Hey, and guess what, Charles? Because I said that in high school, we now have a podcast with that name. And is it still true?
Yeah,
is a win-win. Sam, is a win-win.
You're right. It is a win.
And guess what? Just so that way you know, I wrote this myself. LeBron and Mahomes know how to win. They have all that in stacks and gin. Ayo! Let's go.
No way. You had ChatGPT on your phone. You're pulling that up while you're like celebrating.
I just said that right now. I literally just said that right now.
It took you that long, Sam?
Sam, I literally that just did right now is literally what it came from my noggin.
He might have just come up with that on his own, but he definitely used ChatGPT to come up with a script. There's no way he came up with that whole rhyme himself.
Sam, I did not use ChatGPT.
He used some sort of something. It might have been ChatGPT, but something.
Let's just say I didn't use ChatGPT, just like the Chiefs didn't hold anyone on the 49ers defense.
So he went on we'll give him the benefit of the doubt again. He went on a little Kanye West, Aaron Rodgers retreat. He came out with the most fire bars ever.
I like how Sam called him out because he looked like he was reading off his phone. LeBron and Mahomes, they the best. Hey, real quick. I mean, this episode has gone on way longer, but I'm just loving it. Even though what am I even saying right now? I'm probably gonna look back on this episode and go, "What was I thinking?" I'm in one of those modes. Can I become a Chiefs fan, Sam?
No, you're not welcome.
Why not? I'm from Missouri. I think I might just give up and become a Chiefs fan.
You root for the Ravens, man. You took it in the first place.
That Ravens is so last year.
Dude. That is what everyone else thinks. That is so annoying.
Here's the thing,
fans.
Charles will give you a big kiss on the lips if he can become a Chiefs fan.
No, I'm not a Patriots fan. It's a Tom Brady type. That's a Tom Brady thing to say, Matt.
Go by your dad, Tom Brady, Matt.
You know, I'm a true fan. Okay, Tom Brady, idol.
Sam, I might become a Chiefs fan. I'm thinking about it.
No, you can stick with LeBron. You can stick with LeBron and Lamar. All the L teams. It's fitting for you, Charles.
Well,
Hey, at
on
least
that-
I'm loyal. But
Hey.
to be fair, you're loyal too. But they win a lot, so I
I'm
can't.
very much loyal. I'm loyal to the Chiefs Kingdom, baby. The haters, they stay hating. Back when we had Trent Green going under center, we absolutely stunk. This
hey,
podcast has gone for too long, though, so I'm going to stop.
well, as I told my coworkers and stuff, I said, if you aren't a Chiefs fan when Matt Castle was the starter, you can't be a Chiefs fan now.
You're
That's
right.
true.
It's too late.
But guess what?
Honestly, Sam is very loyal, and his team's having a lot of success. So
I do want to say, people did give me crap in high school and said, when the Patriots are bad, you're not going to root for them. Well, guess what? Your boy still roots for them, even though it's a little painful sometimes.
I thought you said you didn't care anymore because they suck.
Okay. Anyways, I'm just telling you that's what people said. But we've gone on long enough. We appreciate you guys for listening to this episode. Charles, it's a little late for you. You need to go to bed. You get a little tired.
I do.
And-
I honestly went a little unhinged at the end there. That was on me.
You
I do
went
have to-
deep end.
I do have to say,
I dove into the ocean. I didn't even dive to the deep end. I went to the ocean.
That's all right. That's why I love you, Charles.
Sam, congrats
Love
to
you
you.
too.
You guys won fair and square. Congrats. And episode 51 should be a good one. And Charles will be doing our basketball simulation for that.
Oh yeah, I will do that.
We'll
I've
see you next time, everyone. Remember,
Yeah.
a win is a win.
One more thing before we go, real quick too. I've had some inside intel, Charles, that our fan base really enjoys those NBA, the fantasy, like the stat line.
Oh, the sim.
You gotta keep it up in the future. That's what the ratings are going up for.
Next episode. I'll do it. I'll get the next couple years in. Don't worry. I got
What's up?
you. Thank you, random fan, who I'm going to ask Sam about once we stop recording.
Sounds good. We'll see you guys later. Peace.